Working with energies of the earth is one way to support you on your journey. It can help open up areas in your life and enhance what you have come to do. I love having on guests to come on and share the ways spirit has showed up for them to enhance their journey. My guest today has traveled through life embracing a spiritually driven lifestyle and has created a career that is unique to her. And she is here to share her journey with us. Her name is Alyssa Couture. She is an author, fashion designer, and fashion entrepreneur. She is currently focused on her fresh, inspired, healthy fashion campaign in conjunction with promoting her upcoming fashion book. Her upcoming book establishes an alternative approach to clothing. Apart from fashion, she has a spiritually driven lifestyle, having previously lived in several ashrams and monasteries. She is a professional fine artist illustrator with published and sold works to follow. She's a major foodie and former chef claiming 5-star reviews. Alyssa has lived and worked in New Hampshire, New York City, New Jersey, West Virginia, Michigan, and in her most favored and current location, California. Her love of travel has given her the opportunity to explore different cultures and influence her outlook. Alyssa is a fashion intuitive. Her sole motive is to bring fashion into its course as a therapeutic healing tool to help initiate the consciousness of human spirit via fashion into its transmission of divine activity for overall human health and well-being, as well as it is a contributing factor for ultimate planetary awakening. Welcome, Alyssa.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for that introduction. I really appreciate it. Great to be
Oh,
on your show.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here today. And I cannot wait to hear about fashion and how you've unfolded your beautiful journey to get to where you're at. So I've kind of read a little bit back about you. And so I want to hear a little about the energy vortexes, because that seems like in connection to the earth, how you really kind of came into what you're doing and your passion for it.
Exactly. Well, at the age of 22 was my first visit to Mount Shasta. And Mount Shasta is an energy vortex in Northern California. Mm-hmm. And I was called there because I was researching a bunch of, metaphysical New Age topics. And I learned Mount Shasta was just this amazing spiritual vortex, and people are just called to this mountain. So I went to the mountain, and I remember my very first time going to this vortex. I was crying nonstop, and it was just this incredible feeling, because it wasn't a crying of sadness. It was a crying of happiness and sadness, like a release, it was emotional release. But I realized that this mountain was healing me. It was healing my body, my mind, my soul. And I do believe that there are plenty of energy vortexes around the world, in each state and country. It's a matter of finding them. But when I left the mountain and moved around and everything, I kind of felt called to go back to Mount Shasta. And I went 2 other times, and my third time, I ended up living in that area. I had lived in Dunsmuir, which was 10 miles away from the mountain. So when I ended up living around the energy vortexes, I was really getting into some channel work, energy work, and planetary energy healing work. Along with that, of course, I have my passion for fashion, which was really intertwined, because when I was visiting this mountain, I actually was called and spiritually guided to write my new book, Healthy Fashion, and really get involved into my healthy fashion campaign, and speaking about fashion in a spiritual way, a new age metaphysical way, and as well as alternative health and healing way. So with visiting these energy vortexes, you really are brought to these places and locations to clear and activate your body, your mind, and soul. I don't know if you've heard of, well, I'm sure you've heard of the DNA activation. Mm-hmm. And that happens at the energy vortexes. And, we all have our different experiences when we go to these vortexes, but I truly believe it is probably one of the most important things in my life is traveling and visiting these vortexes. And I haven't just visited Mount Shasta. I've been to dozens, most popular ones are Joshua Tree Vortex in California, Crestone, Colorado, Sedona, Arizona, Lake Tahoe. There's Monterey Bay. I mean, there's a whole host of them. Pyramid Lake, north of Los Angeles. So there's just a whole host of all of these vortexes. And when we visit them, we're also being used like an antenna, because we're kind of antennas to the divine Godhead. We're sort of tapping into that divine Godhead through our bodies, acting as the antenna. And when we visit these vortexes, our antenna is super activated, and it actually helps support the crystalline matrix energy grid around the earth. And this crystalline energy matrix grid is supposedly not activated enough for planetary ascension. So us light workers are here to activate this grid and within the universe.
And you've chosen fashion as one way to bring this forward, correct?
Exactly. And I have had a passion for fashion since I was a teenager, and I've worked in fashion for many, many, many years. And the one thing that bothered me was I felt that there was some kind of void in fashion. I felt that there was something that was a little bit missing. And there's spiritual, healthy fashion all over the planet, but in the mainstream marketing and branding, we're a little bit brainwashed to perceive fashion in a more of a low vibrational way. So with my work in healthy fashion, I'm not just trying to concentrate and focus on fashion as a healing tool, but I'm also trying to help support other fashion companies as well as fashion consumers with their wardrobes on how to perceive fashion as a supernatural way to heal our bodies. And I think through this channel that I am taking, channel of fashion, because I have other hobbies. That I love alternative healing, I love herbalism, I love yoga and meditation and all of those things. But through fashion, I do believe that there's going to be incredible advanced fashion methods in the future, where fashion is not just going to be something to throw on or to, appear to look good in. It's going to be ergonomically designed to perform. And I did say supernatural because I believe that when you look at examples of the ascended masters or the angels, and in certain books, they detail how the types of fabrics move and look. They're literally living, they're alive, they're in motion, they're almost trippy, like literally like 3D and everything. So I think, and I'm not saying trippy in a negative way. I'm just,
right.
just saying that it's like very activated clothes. So one example is we could say seaweed would be a material that is very lucid and flowing. And when the appearance of seaweed in general, when you look at seaweed, it like moves. It's like in motion when it's still. So that's the type of fabrics I'm talking about, that where we're going to be headed. And you can wear a t-shirt and it's still healthy and it's still healing and very supernatural. It goes down to the simple details. It doesn't have to be, extremely detailed and ornate. It can be as simple as a t-shirt because of the types of materials that it is about, the types of seams and cuts that they use, the textures of the t-shirt. There's all different types of things and elements of fashion that make something healthy.
Wow, that's so interesting, because as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about, like, for myself, when I put on certain clothes, some things just don't feel right. and some things feel better. So when you work with people, do you work with them like intuitively, like, what feels good for you, or where are you at in your journey, or how does that work?
Well, right now I'm focused on the writing aspect of just
Mhm.
getting the information out there. I would love to do consulting eventually, and it's
Mhm.
part of my plans in the future. But right now I'm not doing consulting, but it is in the very near future. And you are not the first person that has asked me about whether or not I consult. And right now, I also am in the process of developing possibly some seminars that, universities or other companies can use as sort of a template. But when I approach healthy and healing fashion, I sort of will talk about the different five bodies and how we are in relation to the five bodies: the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, the physical body, and the energetic body. So these five bodies are all in relation to fashion. And I talk about that in detail in my book and some of my work on my, some of my content. I think it's very important to realize that as we are multidimensional beings, we have to truly view fashion and use fashion multidimensionally. And for stylists, it would be the perfect thing for stylists to be able to use healthy fashion concepts as an analysis in order to help support a person's wardrobe. So yes, that is the direction. You are a little bit ahead of me in regards to whether or not I'm actually consulting with people, but I think that other fashion companies will definitely pick up on it too. And because these concepts that I talk about, they're not like, they're universal concepts that everyone can embrace in their own company. And that's why I kind of call it a movement, because right now, there's mainstream fashion, and then there's the eco-sustainable fashion. And we're moving into the wellness fashion, the therapeutic fashion, the health fashion. Those trends really actually happened and was increased by the coronavirus, because everyone started dressing more comfortably because they were home most of the time. And people were thinking about protection. How do I protect myself, from this disease? And so virus, excuse me. So I think too that it's just a collective energy and a collective trend. And for several years now, I've been really wondering, what am I doing to help the fashion movements? Because 5 years ago, I was all about eco and sustainable fashion. I wasn't thinking about healthy fashion. But once I started living and working in the ashrams and monasteries more and more, once I got more spiritual, and then once I started visiting the vortexes, that's when I started to realize, we could be doing so much more with our fashion.
So it seems to me, Alyssa, that you are a spearhead, that you too are like ahead of, you're the spearhead out there to get it started. And then it's going to like go, pew, like this is the next thing. Definitely.
I hope so. And I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's 7 billion people out there. I'm sure other people have some similar ideas, but I'd like to definitely be someone that is leading and helping support the collective movement. Yes, certainly.
Well, and you seem so enthusiastic and passionate about it. So yeah, I can see that happening for sure. Let's talk a little bit about finding well-being through fashion. You talk about it as you can use it as a therapeutic tool. So what tools have you used for yourself, and what would you like to share with the listeners out there listening about this, working with fashion?
Okay, so there's lots of different pieces to it. There's one piece is the feng shui concept. So we take interior design feng shui and we use it in our fashion. So basically we want, specific cuts and seams to be flowing, to have the energy flowing in the body. Because when you think about feng shui and living spaces, you want to design in a certain way so that the energy flows. So we're thinking about feng shui and fashion. And then there's also the 4 elements of fashion. And this one is a little bit abstract. It's basically taking air, fire, water, and earth, and analyzing fashion and perceiving fashion as being part of the elements. So one example would be stretchy fabrics. Stretchy knitwear would be the element water, because it's stretching, it's moving, it's fluid. And so using the 4 elements of fashion can be a way to connect with nature too. And when we mimic and imitate nature in the wilderness and put it in our fashion, which, subconsciously we already do, it's going to help give us that nature human connection, because nature really is so close to the higher power, the great spirit, the God, or whatever you want to call it. So it's having that nature, spirit, human connection that is really important. And another one would be color therapy. We can use specific colors to heal our body. And there's one shaman that I had met, and he actually places colors on the body that people don't like. And he says, it's sometimes good to wear colors you don't like, because it's the color that you most need. Because because the colors have different frequencies. Each color has different frequencies. Basically, it's energy. But these different frequencies help heal specific ailments in the body. So I do suggest that wear the colors that you love, but from time to time, if there is something in your wardrobe that you just can't stand, it might be you might need it. Right. So there's color therapy, there's feng shui fashion, there's so many different concepts, there's thousands of them. But one of the most important would be ergonomic fashion too. And ergonomic fashion is how the design functions for the body. Because so many times in my life, especially when I was working in retail, styling customers, I had to look presentable, and I had to wear the skirts and the blouses and the pants that with zippers that were too tight, and things that poked and were itchy, or something that just was really restricting. So I believe that when we pay attention to the details of fashion, that's going to help our body, our mind, our soul, and our productivity as well. I give you an example. I have this sweatshirt and I absolutely love it. It's cropped. It's a really pretty pale pink. It has a cute hood. It's like a nice stiff mid-weight texture, so it has a good weight to it, but it chokes me. It's too tight it chokes me. So I can alter it, and I'm afraid I just don't really want to cut into it, but I could alter it. But I think altering would be, the most important aspect if a piece of garment doesn't work for you. But this choking sensation, it's really, is it a symbol? Why am I wearing a sweatshirt that's choking me? So there are things where we're dealing with these clothes, and it's not always positive. But with ergonomic fashion, we're paying attention to the details of the clothes. And when we pay attention to those minor details, it's amazing how our body and our aura is going to be strengthened.
Wow. What a cool, this is just such a cool subject for sure, Alyssa. And I want to dive a little bit into people who make the fabric, people who make the items, and where their energy is. Have you done anything around that? Because I know for myself, not only the people who make it, but like, I'm so sensitive. The things they spray on it, I can't even go to stores. I can't put on stuff in stores because I itch and I feel awful. But then there's also, like I said, the part about who's making it, what's behind it. So have you dived into that at all?
Oh, yes. I have not put any specific names in the book of companies, but there is a list, free resource of fabric stores that I have on my website of, I believe it's 40 different websites, excuse me, textile companies and fabric stores. So basically, how does the consumer find these fabrics that are good, that are healthy? And one thing is the certifications. I have a free resource of certifications that will help you navigate what fabrics you need for your body. Because when you Google search these certifications, fashion brands will pop up that are certified with that specific certification. So in order to find these companies, it is not easy. But one really great textile certification is Global Organic Textile Standard. And they have low impact certifications where you won't get all of that itchiness from the treatments. And that's a good point. You know, I don't often think about the treatments that are making people itchy, but it's the truth. So the Global Organic Textile Standard is a great. Did I answer your question correctly?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, but basically, when you're going to shop, you want to look for these certifications. And also in stores, they're starting to prop up more and more. If you look at the tag on a shirt, they'll have an additional tag with whether it's sustainable or what kind of transparency practices they're doing. It's really propping up. And I think that too, if you don't have time for research, you can even use a pendulum on garments to find out if it's negative or positive for you. I don't, the pendulum is biblically found in the Bible. It's thy rod and thy staff. It's a little it's an antenna to your higher self. And when you use the pendulum to try to say, oh, should I buy this garment? And it'll swing left for no, right for yes. It truly has worked for me. And it's also saved me a lot of money because there's lots of garments that I'll just buy, even though I'm not supposed to be buying them. They're not perfect for me. And the pendulum will know if it's too toxic. If the fabric's too toxic, the pendulum will not let you buy it, or not the pendulum itself, but your higher self. So I think that's one new age metaphysical way that I think might become popular in the future, using the pendulum to figure out if the fabric is negative or toxic, if the design is supposed to be worn by you or not.
Wow, this just feels like, another piece to the spiritual puzzle of our soul. Because it all plays a part. And even though a lot of people may not, I think people who are listening to this podcast are going to understand this because of the fact that we're all soul, everything's energy, and we are so sensitive. And more so, I think as we go forward, is that things are opening up energetically. And so this awareness is wonderful, Alyssa. And so I would like for you to share ways that, so I know you have your beautiful book. So we'd like to talk a little about your book.
Yes. This is what it looks like. Healthy Fashion, published by John Hunt Publishing. And this book is doing very well. People are really enjoying it. And that the information is truly advanced methods for fashion. Fashion for the future, and fashion that is spiritual. Fashion for the energy body, trying to bring fashion that is more universal and worldly. The concepts are large, and the information is detailed as well. So you're going to find lots of information about the past and history of fashion in regards to healing and health, and the present moment, how we can improve our wardrobe, how we can improve the current wardrobe we have, and then the future, things that are going to be happening in the future, like different types of fabrics and ways to perceive and look at fashion in a honorable way with the archetypes. So there's lots of different ways that we can choose to wear healthy fashion. And in this book, it's sort of kind of giving you an idea of how fashion can truly be, and the deeper truths of fashion. Really, the subtitle is The Deeper Truths, because I get down into the truth of what fashion really is to us.
Beautiful. And they can buy that on Amazon. And I will also have all the links to your website, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'll have all those in the show notes so everyone can get a hold of you, get out there, purchase that beautiful book, and learn more about healthy fashion.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Teresa.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on today, Alyssa, and just enlightening us in this area, because this is really unique, and it's again another piece to our beautiful puzzle as a soul. And I just wish you the best of luck with everything, and keep rocking it, because you are definitely spearheading this energy for the new future of fashion to come.
Thank you so much. Such a blessing. Thank you.